Thank you so much, Paul. So we're really excited. Thank you for all of you who are attending, and a big thanks to our Fresno State team for coming to the Automated University Advancing and Streamlining Digital Transformation at Fresno State. I can see that there's a lot of participants out there. Thank you so much. And a lot of you I know, and I'm talking with you, currently with you, about your exploration of Kuali Build, and we're hoping that this webinar will help answer some of your questions today, especially directly from folks that do the same kind of jobs that you do at your school. Let's see. So what are we covering today? We want to cover the why. Why did Fresno State choose to adopt Kuali Build? We want to cover how are they transforming processes. We want to talk about how they are integrating with their systems. I know this is a huge question for a lot of you out there. How is Fresno State integrating Kuali Build with their systems? And then that number 4 down there, that is one of the biggest questions I'm getting from you folks out there. How are they actually rolling this out to their campus? And Fresno State has done this incredible job rolling this out to their campus. So they're going to talk about that with you today. And then we have this bonus at the end where Philip is joining us today. We haven't had Philip before, and we're excited to have Philip. And he is going to focus on some high impact projects so that you have concrete examples of the ways in which Fresno State is using Kuali Build. So that's our coverage today. It's going to be primarily Fresno State, the Fresno State team talking to you. So we're really excited about that. A little bit of housekeeping. This session is recorded and all attendees are on mute. So if you're trying to talk to us, you're on mute, but you can enter questions in the chat. We have Paul, the one that voice from the dark that you heard a minute ago. Paul is going to be monitoring those questions and bringing those questions forward to us so that we can make sure that we're able to address those during the webinar today. So let's introduce who is here at this webinar. So of course, I'm Liz Christensen. I'm the VP of Sales and Consultation. I come from a higher ed background here to Kuali. We also have with us on our Kuali team, Casey Foster, who's the Executive Vice President of Marketing and Sales Enablement. This is a new position for her. She has come to us from the General Manager of Research to product development. She comes from a higher ed. I kind of wish I had a written statement right now because the scope of Casey's knowledge and background is amazing. So happy to have you here, Casey. And Max, I'm going to turn a little time over to you to have you introduce your team today.
Right. Thank you so much again for the opportunity for us to be here, and thank you for the invite from Kuali Build and this opportunity for us to share our Fresno State New Automated University initiative. And today we have myself. My name is Max Chai. I'm the Interim Director of Digital Transformation at Fresno State. I've been around higher ed for no more than enough. It has been my 26 years working on academic technology in higher education. And today I do invite our colleague, Ishuri, in this team, and she's one of our solution analysts. And so her responsibility is actually outreaching to our campus stakeholders, building solutions around the campus for student success. Philip is our solution analyst focused on application development, and you're gonna hear all the exciting stuff from him in a little bit. And he's our technical development, also with our campus stakeholders on developing campus application solutions around supporting students as well. So thank you so much again for having us here, and I cannot wait to get started to share our story and our 9-month journey. Just coincident, it's 9 months. It's like a baby born, and we are there to hopefully we have some good experience to share with everybody.
We're really excited too, Max, and thank you to you and your team for coming here today and sharing your story with the folks out there. we do want to start real quick. For those of you who have never heard of Kuali Build, or you have heard some things in the past and you don't really know the Kuali story, our company story, I just wanted to introduce us to you really, really quick, and then we'll get to Max's story as fast as we can. This is as fast as I can do this. If you haven't heard of the Kuali story before, it's such an interesting story, and I'm going to shortchange it right now so that I don't take time. But if you're interested in hearing the larger and longer story, please come talk to us. But the Kuali project started in 2004, where a group of schools got together and at that time there really was only commercial software. There wasn't software really being made exclusively for higher ed. And so a group of institutions got together to create software, and they did a great job for about a decade. And in that time, you saw the rise of SaaS. And of course, I told you, much longer story, but with the rise of SaaS, they decided to incorporate into the company that we are today, and our Kuali company. And we've maintained a lot of that spirit of community around our company going forward. And so I'd love to talk to you more about that. We have 5 different product lines. I'd love to talk to you more about that, but we are here focusing on Kuali Build. Over here, you see it on the right, our no-code business process platform. It's a standalone process platform, but it's also able to augment all of those other siloed solutions that you have. And you can see that represented here with our other product lines. So Kuali Build, really quick introduction. I know we want to get to Max. When we first started creating Kuali Build, we were trying to answer the question that our customers and the folks like you were asking us. How do we automate processes across our campus? How do we manage data capture, data process, and then data management, a form, a workflow, or approval process, and that document management around that form? And we very quickly started solving that problem. And we learned and understood that there's a second problem that's similar, but also completely separate. And that question is, how do I manage an automation tool across my campus? And Fresno State is going to specifically talk to you about both of these needs today and how they are addressing them. So that's our goal with Kuali Build, is to enable IT to safely and quickly increase their own capacity, chip away that backlog, and also empower departments to create and own their own solutions. That's as quick as I'm going to do that introduction, because we want to get back to the Fresno State team. And I'm just going to quit sharing now and turn the time over to Max.
So thank you. And you're going to share your screen. So quickly, a little bit background about Fresno State. So Fresno State located at the Central Valley of California, and we have 25,000 FTEs. So obviously we have more student population, and we are a commuters university, which means our students really appreciate the time to be on campus doing their study while they need to work to sustain their self financially. So we have a very diversified student we are supporting, and we are so proud to be here to support their future success. So at Fresno State, just like OUR, right, the success of digital transformation is really about elevating our students' success with technology to support the university operational effectiveness and academic excellency. So as soon as students returned fully to our campus last summer, actually summer 2022, and we realized our student has evolved, not by how they're looking, but how their digital behavior has been changed, right? They are really actually becoming more like from digital ready to digital native. And what does that mean, right? So it's really gonna be shared with you a little about our study on it. So they are in fact demanding a more fully personalized and modernized digital experience from the university just to match what they do day to day, right? Matching their day-to-day technology experiences. So that's what we learned. And the student did not like what we used to know anymore. So in this presentation, it's really gonna be sharing with you like how we relearned our students' digital behavior and the desire by starting to listen to our student voice. So we started the focus groups, and that's where we're gonna be sharing with you the vision and the determination of digital transformation for us to accelerate student success also through a trusted campus partnership, engaging a culture of innovation, and especially with the opportunity Kuali Build offer us through a learn by doing process, right? And that's somewhere we really kind of appreciate Kuali Build for this kind of opportunity. Learn by doing and working with our campus community, we grow this technical skill together and we build a service together, not just overnight, and we make it a team effort. And Philip gonna be also kind of presenting our technical journey of how we advance our campus enterprise application platform with Kuali Build. And what we learned is, for us, because the huge demand, right, is actually we need a tool, we need a technology for allow us to do more by doing less. And we're gonna iterate those, right? It's like how we are actually feel like Kuali Build is actually the technology, that's the innovation allowing us to do more by doing less. And we're gonna share with our experience what does that mean. And we're gonna share a couple of our current projects. I totally understand in the participant audiences, you like to see all the key information, like how we integrate with our student information system, how we automate those business process, and how do we integrate to our operational practices. So we're gonna share the whole integrated solution. And we are gonna be so excited to share something we are building right now, the DevSecOps. I know it's kind of worthy, but that's something we are building, and we like to share that because we are really good at it already. But we want to use this opportunity to share with you our experience and listen to your feedback, and hopefully you can reach out to us, and we're gonna reach out to you like, let's collaborate, because higher education, we really appreciate and value this big family, right? We are working as a community of practices, and this is the opportunity we want to share. And again, it's a 9-month experience. It's a journey. When we say journey, it means it's like action in progress, right? We want to share early, and hopefully like we can kind of working with you to kind of like helping us and helping everyone here to build a better student success. So the next, I'm gonna turn this to Ishuri, and she's gonna share with you a lot of interesting work. We started by listening to student voice first, and what does that mean, and how did we do it?
Thank you so much, Max. So as we've heard, technology is truly transforming life all around us. We're able to have those conversations with our audio systems, our cars can drive themselves, and we're carrying supercomputers in our pockets. And technology innovation has really touched every industry, and that includes higher education. And with technology being such a powerful asset in our mission to empower student success, we'd like to introduce you to the automated university that delivers excellent digital experiences. It reduces costs, increases operational efficiency, and allows us to stay relevant with the changing demands of students in this ever-evolving educational landscape. So on the screen here is actually our research report that I'm going to kind of highlight in the next slide. And it really does focus on the priorities that students have in regards to the digital experiences that they consume on our campus. So like Max had mentioned, our journey began during the summer of 2022, 2021, when we had partnered with students and the campus community to really understand and identify their pain points. For staff, faculty, and admin, and even leadership, one of those pain points is that they receive so many emails for approvals and confirmations, and it can really be a challenge to keep track of it all. And there are still manual processes out there, paper to pen to file cabinet. So having to manually file and process forms and sift through those communications, it can be time consuming and can cause frustration for both the service provider and the student. And on the student side of that, our student interns from the Hub of Digital Transformation and Innovation internship program, they actually conducted focus groups with their peers and engaged with the campus community to identify those student pain points. And we saw a need for more support when navigating online form submittals for students who were filling out and submitting forms for the first time, and the transparency during that approval process. So students were able to know where they were in the queue without having to pick up a phone and call, and where their form currently was, so they could have that peace of mind and that transparency. Also partnering with our campus community, we conducted usability testing with the computer science department. And those students were able to get into the current form system and identify those challenges as well, which included outdated interfaces, cluttered dashboards, and then that inefficient workflow monitoring, that transparency that students were really looking for. So after we did this really fabulous research with our campus partners and the students on campus, we took that back, we created that research report with the Chancellor's Office, and now taking into consideration all of these factors that we had heard, we selected a solution. And now that we had that solution, it was time to get it into the hands of our campus partners. So our first phase of implementation was 6 months, and you can see that timeline on the screen. And this was really focused on laying the foundation and identifying those early partners, those early adopters who would jump in and really test and help us assess the impacts of what this solution would do on campus. So we started in January with a team formation, and we all got our internal training from Kuali Build on the tool. And then by March, we were introducing the platform to the campus. We did something called a build and brew session. So we bribed people with coffee to come sit with us at 8 a.m. in the morning, and we showed them Kuali Build, and we actually built out a just-in-time form so they could see that this was something that they could go back to their desks and do if they really, really wanted to. And from those sessions, our early adopters were the ones that stayed 10 minutes past and were like, okay, great, what can we do? And then by April, they had joined us in the Kuali Build platform. So by June, we had done our first user batch import, so loading users into the system so that they could participate in workflows and have access to those forms. And then we went live with our very first campus form and started preparing for phase 2 all in that month of June. And this next slide highlights those campus partners and those early adopters. And we really were very lucky to get such a diverse representation from almost all of the divisions on campus. So we partnered with admissions and recruitment, which is of course very student facing and also community facing, because we're talking about prospective students at that point. And Philip will actually highlight one of the projects we have with them. Human resources, which is more staff and faculty facing. And a lot of their processes are currently getting digitalized as well. The Environmental Health and Safety Office, this was really targeted towards faculty and students. Their first form was for off-campus events. So that had a lot of data sharing between the forms and integrations as well. The University Library, our very first self-sufficient group, they were like, give us the training and then we'll take it from here. And they really have done a lot of fabulous stuff as well. They've already gone live with actually several of their internal forms, I think even a couple of weeks after we had given them that training. And then of course we have the registrar's office as well. And then we're also partnered, their name is not on here, but we have a project coming up with them too, graduate research and programs. So that is highlighting that academic side of our campus as well. So that wraps up my sort of implementation and the research we've done. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it back to Liz.
Thank you so much, Sherry. We wanted to take a little break here before we get to that fabulous section from Philip. Take a little break here. We have some questions for you. And I wanted to start with this one, and this might be for you, Max, or Suri. When you first discussed and decided how you wanted to launch Kuali Build, some of our customers that, for example, University of Connecticut, they decided that they would first launch inside of their central IT group and just chip away at their own backlog, and then start rolling it out department to department across their campus. And now it's really flourishing across UConn. But for Fresno State, they went all in. You all went all in. You bribed people with coffee. You went for it. Talk to us a little bit about that decision process to just address your entire campus from the get-go.
So I can start it a little bit. So like Fresno State, right? We do have a large student population. Again, we are the largest university at Central Valley, California. Proud of it. And that's not unusual. Our IT staffing is not as the greatest, right? We are also looking for like more help and a lot of enterprise applications. So when I first came on board, my CIO, she really looking for like, we have a lot of work to do, right? So digital transformation is more like, I got a tattoo for it too. Is digital transformation is about people, process, and technology, right? So there are three things we have always toggle. We have always need to kind of like improve and enhance. And we started with learning our people. So I try to make a long story short, right? I mean, we learn about our student demand, and we know our campus, our business stakeholders, they are actually very capable of doing what they do if you provide them the right technology tool. And our current, we do have a lot of enterprise tools, but when you talk about enterprise tools, they does add that, I wouldn't say challenge, but it's more like a learning curve, right? For requiring some special programming. So like one of our current workflow tool actually require developers with C#. And you look at like the development life cycle, right? It's kind of like, wow, that's interesting, because our business stakeholders, they are actually the one, we are talking about business process, right? So they are the one who understand the business. They are the one who serving the customer. They are the one who actually have to translate their language for our developer to understand, and we put into a programming language. So this is another disclaimer, right? I don't want to be I'm not a salesperson for Kuali Build, but the reason I found Kuali Build, because I went to Google and I just search for like workflow forms. I don't want just to get a form tool later on. I really want to have a digital process automation tool, right? We are not just talking about electrical document. We are really talking about something we can automate. We can increase the transparency. I searched for low code and no code, and I put down everybody can build. That was it. I shared this story with Liz, and that's where Kuali Build came up. And I didn't make it up. That's exactly, if you search on Google, you might still get it. And that's the time I also realized, like, so I look at the Kuali Build, and I also realized, wow, Kuali Build does not provide any plugins. So what that means is like everything's REST API. I'm going to share, let Philip share a lot of those kind of excitement. And so like, that's why we want to modernize our technology, right? It's like we want to utilize a front-end tool, which is simple enough for our business stakeholders, our operational persons. They already have those business experience, and they can build it themselves. And that allows IT staffing like us, right? We focus on the integration, right? We continue integrate, continue development, while our business partners, our stakeholders, our people, they can continue build. So how cool is it? And for the last 9 months, I feel we are building some success. And I'm going to ask you to share some of her excitement working with our business partners too. They are excited too. Finally, they don't have to call IT, wait for 2 months to set up a project before they can actually do something for themselves to help our students.
Yeah, I thank you so much, Max. But I heard a few things in there that I just wanted to emphasize, and then ask Suri some questions about what you said. And the thing that I loved that you said is that you know your stakeholders on campus and you have confidence in them. They know their own business. They know the processes that they need, and you can empower them to be able to create those, that you have this confidence in them. So I love that part of that story. I also heard you talking about Kuali Build's 2-tier application, where as technical folks, you're creating those API integrations in the background, and then your business users, those business units that you're sending out to, they're able to create the form and the workflow themselves.
And totally, and sure, you got any additional? But you are the one actually out there working with
Siri,
people, right?
how excited are they? That's what Max said. You're here to tell us, how excited are they?
Well, they are, in our experience, we started collaborating with them in that research stage. So they've been there from the beginning throughout the process. So after we bribe them with coffee, they then get to hang out with us for 2 hours, which is very, very exciting. And we do a really robust Kuali Build training. So they can actually go through a form build and workflow build with us. And if they want to spend an extra hour with us, we can do a form discovery with them. So, we're engaging with them, and our priority and to also get them excited is to say, hey, we're here, and you're here too, and let's do this thing together and build out this process and this initiative. So for us, it's really been about engaging early on so that they see the work that we're doing and the research and the impacts that could potentially be there, and then they want to get involved, and that's how we got that first really awesome group of early adopters.
So Max, I have a fun question for both you and Suri. I of course am talking to a bunch of Cal State schools right now ever since Cal State Tech Connect, and I tell them constantly, Max and Suri would love to talk to you about this. I want you to confirm that that's true.
We like to talk to them, and I'll be honest, we just came back. You look at background, that's our poster in EduCars. So yeah, we enjoy talking, and we were able to share a lot of our journey. Again, I'm not going to say success, right? Because it's still work in progress. So in CSU, we do share the same challenge or same desire, right? To kind of accomplish more by do less. And we share the same. I know that's gonna be the question in the Q&A. We are PeopleSoft campers. So that's where we share a lot of the same technical desires or technical needs. So after the conference, we did receive a lot inquiry about how we do it from our CSU campuses, other campuses. And I remember, I think you have a new campus just joined, like Bakersfield, and we did have good conversation with them as well. So we actually we just started another Slack channel. So part of IT, right, what we like is to share, to collaborate, to communicate. And it's gonna be so cool, right, if we can continue this community of practices. So that's where we really want to kind of contribute and participate, not just to CSU, also to the broader higher education community. Mm-hmm. And surely I know that people reach out to you too, and hopefully they are sending you some Starbucks cards, right? But I know it has been taking you a lot of time as well.
Thank you so much. We're excited about it all. We're excited about the community that you're forming, not only at Fresno State, but Cal State, the Cal State system, and then beyond the Cal State system. I know that Casey has been monitoring some questions, and I think we can take one question from our participants, and then Philip, you'll be up next after that. So Casey, you have a question for us.
Sure. Thanks, Liz. So there are a couple of questions about integrations. Some of this you've spoken to already, but just in the interest of making sure our participants hear the information. What are your student information and human resource system? I think you said PeopleSoft campus, but I just want to confirm that's the case.
Yes, we are PeopleSoft campus. Yeah.
Okay.
Since 1990s.
Okay, thank you. And then there's another just general question about the types of integrations you have with either on-prem or other SaaS solutions. Would you be willing to highlight a couple of key integrations that have been helpful in your rollout?
I think that's where I'll defer to Philip once he show a couple of our and that's where part of our effort right now is actually to build this enterprise integration framework and also a DevSecOps. So a Kuali Build effort, right? One of the advantages is that it doesn't work by itself alone. So we do both, and that's where I want to kind of have like Philip share a little bit about technical backend, how we do it. And we leverage cloud for sure, right? And we do use Boomi, that's the SaaS based, and we do a lot of in-house integration as well. So we do things based on the need. That's why we appreciate that REST for like opportunity Kuali Build provide. But I think Philip gonna be able to show shares of a couple of our projects.
Excellent. What a great transition then.
All right, Philip, you're up.
So he's going to go ahead and share for us again. So yes, so right now what I'd like to go over is just kind of these two projects and what made us believe that Kuali Build was the right tool for these specific tasks, and what requirements made and led to that decision. Let's start with Bulldog Bound registration. So our Bulldog Bound form was essentially a project on bringing new students to our campus community for an expedited enrollment process. And one of the requirements that we needed was we needed to enact this with a process that was simple to understand so that we could work side by side with our campus partners. It's very hard to work side by side with non-technical people with a tool that's overly encumbering on them to have a huge amount of understanding. And Kuali Build is that very simple to see, simple to understand tool. Another thing that we needed was we needed a way for them to easily manage and maintain information, because the goal of this was to grab information from these form submissions and be able to give it to our campus partners for them to easily manage and maintain. And at Fresno State, we are largely a Google campus. So the natural inclination for a lot of our campus partners is to manage this on Google Sheets. And due to Kuali Build's ability to integrate, we were able to have those form submissions end up on Google Sheets for them to easily manage and maintain. So the tool is not standalone. It is very able to integrate. Another thing is that we made these integrations connected to our Fresno State Amazon Web Service environments and frameworks. And this allows us to kind of continue with the same project frameworks that we were working with before. And then next, moving on to our third attempt form. So the purpose of this was that we wanted to focus on allowing students to be able to reattempt courses that they previously had struggled with. And we needed to streamline and simplify this process. And we needed a modernized tool for that, especially since the variation for the ways that you could get a third attempt request varied by department and varied by school. And we needed to unify those into a single way of handling it to make it just easier for students. And so on the side here, you see actually the form we made for that. So Kuali Build was the kind of a more modern tool that we could use to streamline and simplify the process for students attempting to reattempt courses. The app was also, it's very agile, so we could, in a way that we could easily make changes. So because there's all this diversity in how these requests are handled, we needed to be able to receive feedback from our campus partners and be able to make changes quickly and to adapt to the changing requirements. And Kuali Build made it easy in this regard to make changes quickly and effectively when still meet deadlines. And then kind of the big thing with this particular app, which is our first app with complete integration from the form to PeopleSoft, that basically take information directly from the form and post it to PeopleSoft, which just helps us with the managing system so that people won't have to manually put those processes in. This did go through Boomi beforehand. I know Max had just talked about our integration with Boomi, but it's going from Boomi to PeopleSoft. And we're really hoping to expand on that in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Isuri because she wants to talk about what's next. Or I'm sorry, I think it's Max actually.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of technical detail to share, and we didn't want to bring those kind of like, the technical diagram, but like Liz, you mentioned, we are like, really kind of excited with like, if people reach out to us, we are more than happy to share like our technical documentation, whatever we learn from the process. We are there for everybody, for the higher education and for the student ultimately, right, to support all our student success. So what's the next, right? It's like we want to continue kind of streamline the university operations. And one thing like Shuri share with you is not just about the forms, the workflows. It's really about the digital student experience. We want to kind of able to kind of empower students to be more success. So we're gonna spend more time on the UX design. So that's another cool good news. Actually, Fresno State, we invested in UX architect designers. So we actually working closely, not just put the form out there, how to make the form not just accessible and also usable to the students' desire. And we are going to kind of like continue build our dev app environment. So just to answer like the questions like from the integration. So we are building the whole dev app platform. So we mainly want to leverage like Boomi, right, as that vehicle of bridging the gaps. They can be transform the data. And fortunately, that's where we also got excited with Kuali Build, right? It's like they do nothing but REST API, which is a very good thing, right? Sometimes we are able to do more by doing less. And that's one example. Is like we are focusing on the modernization of technology. And that's where with this combination of the tools actually allow us to modernize our technology architecture to support like rapid development. And of course, the front end, and we are having success, right? Ultimately, we want to kind of integrate with Kuali Build as the front end, the user facing through the Boomi, and we have Ambase as the enterprise content management system. So that's one of our current project right now. When we have all the process finished, we got all the JSON object, right? We want to restore it to a PDF, and we're gonna send it to Ambase to be indexed for document retrieval for thousands documents. And we would have some success by the end of this year. That's always one thing we try to do is that for the legal document, right? They always want us to restore to original document format. So we are able to kind of totally utilize different technologies to streamline the process from the beginning to the end. And Model Lab is our mobile platform. And we part of like last November, if I remember correctly, Shuri, I think we finished another student survey, and Fresno State is no different from other universities. We have 53.6. I remember this number because 53.6% of our students, they actually depend on their mobile devices for their, day-to-day university, the learning, all the work they done on campus. And that's where Kuali Build actually give us that advantage, right? They are not looking at just web-based. It's more than responsive because we really appreciate that kind of mobile-first experience like Kuali Build also provide. That make us seamless to integrate not just to technology, but also the digital student experience. And we actually pilot some of proof of concept. We bring this technology to one of the classes. So happen I'm teaching. And so they're actually using Kuali Build to learn the local, no-code experience. And they kind of like, wow, this is something they are going to do in their future career, actually engage them, just not just only using Kuali Build, and also like learn that new technology architecture as well. I know we got a lot to share, and anything to add, Shuri? I know there are several points from a partnership, and I'm not sure about the time list, but I think Shuri might have a couple points to add about the partnership development.
Yeah, I'd love you to add those points. I do want to get to a couple of questions right now, and we'll take a couple of questions, and then who were you saying Suri's going to talk to us about partnerships? Who's going to talk to us about partnerships?
I think Shuri can talk about the partnership development and like.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple of questions here. One of our participants saw your notage or your signage on Adobe Sign, and they asked, does Kuali Build have a signature gadget? We do have a signature gadget. In fact, it conforms with the federal e-signature rule or law about having an authorized, authenticated user with a timestamp. Some of our schools still want to use Adobe Sign for external signatures. Do you want to address that at all, Max or Suri or Philip? I'm not leaving you out, Philip.
Phil, can you share a little bit about that Taylor Commute project you actually developed?
Yeah, so our telecommute project is very reliant on getting approvals and getting at first signatures. But another thing that Kuali Build offers in terms of verification that can provide a lot of the same utility as a signature, and in this case with telecommute is what we moved to, is the approval process and the workflow. When the workflow has an approval, it keeps a timestamp and it keeps a record of who made the approval. And that can provide much of the same functionality and detailed record of a signature without it bogging down the form design.
Thank you. I couldn't have scripted that answer better, Philip. That was fantastic. Yes, because that e-signature requires, the federal e-signature requires that authenticated user and the timestamp. One of our questions kind of piggybacks on what you said, where they say, are there approval workflows? And of course, a Kuali Build app, one Kuali Build app contains the form, the workflow is the approval process, and then the documents around that. So that approval process then offers you that authenticated user and that timestamp, as Philip said. One last question here in this group, and then let's talk about partnerships with Sorry. We have a participant that says, how are you planning on integrating with OnBase?
So for integrating OnBase, this is a very good question because OnBase is very powerful, right? So it's an enterprise content management system. So and we do find advantage with Kuali Build is like we have so much forms and workflows we can like simply build with Kuali Build. So our integration involves two areas. One is like we want to continue using Kuali Build as the front end, the form, the workflow, the approval, the digital process, and really utilize the easy access transparency, right? So this is just to add, I know I wasn't going to mention this, is like some of our administrators, they actually don't like Kuali Build because now they can tell who didn't sign it, who didn't approve it, just looking at the dashboard. So that's, but our presidents like it because that's the Amazon experience, right? You know where your stuff being shipped. So that's a transparency we do appreciate. But for OnBase, we are really looking at the functional feature integration. So we would like to continue using Kuali Build as what is best, right? Extends use to all the forms, digital process approval. But once we get all the outcome, we do want to store the final document into OnBase for the long-term retrieval, and we can apply retention policies because that's a different layer of document management. We have to kind of implement for the enterprise level of document management. And so that's where we are able to kind of like the process we're doing right now is once people finish the workflow, we are exporting the JSON. And through the BRIMI, right, so give us two opportunities. We can just store that data into OnBase for indexing for future retrieval, but we did something actually pretty neat. And because when we're working with our HR, and for some documents, they do require certain format, right, like the legal document. And we do have the challenge from the web form. When you export the web form does not meet the legal document format, we have to kind of restore it. So using like BRIMI, we're actually implementing a mechanism, or actually we call it a shape, to auto map the JSON output from Kuali Build to a PDF template, and seamless they're gonna output to OnBase and indexed. So that's how we are planning for integrating with OnBase, just for the purpose of different staging of digital documents process.
And just a little follow-up question, because we know that the majority of people on this call are technical people. And in our Kuali Build workflow designer tool, right? Part of that Kuali Build, you are able to use an integration step type and push data from the form back into your systems. Where in the form, we're integrating, we're reading information into the form. In the workflow, we can take data from the form, push it back into your systems. But we also have a robust GraphQL. And for the kind of information that you're talking about for OnBase, a lot of our customers will create an automated query back into something like OnBase. Is that what you're doing? Are you querying the GraphQL?
So I'll defer that to Philip. I hope you have the answer.
Okay, I do actually have the answer to that one. So the answer to that one is yes, we are actually using the GraphQL. And essentially the reason why we use the GraphQL is in terms of, how can we query fields that don't exactly hand themselves off to just being passed as a text field. And then also the interest of being, what if we need to get stuff from what workflow steps have been processed? So for an example, let's say I am moving it to an OnBase PDF, right? We want to store it in OnBase. And, there is the possibility that there is a signature from a supervisor, or if they go through a different workflow path, there isn't. You need to be able to tell that. And the way we found to tell that was we would do a GraphQL query on the document itself, and we could find that information within the JSON of the GraphQL query.
Fantastic. I know that our technical folks love the GraphQL, that you can query any data that you need. You can query the PDF form that you need. And so I wanted to just put that out there. That's a little treat for all you technical folks that are on this call. Isuri, I want to get back to you because you're going to talk to us about partnerships.
Yes, and I'm gonna kind of keep it sweet and short because it's gonna echo a lot of what we've heard kind of throughout the webinar. But when we're talking about digital transformation on our campus, something that Max is always telling our team and something that we hear from our VP a lot is people, process, and technology. And that's how we digitally transform, what we're doing here on campus. So we really do take that time. We spend that time with our partners to really understand their pain points and their processes so that we can better integrate that technology into the things that they're doing every day. And then they also feel empowered to drive and take ownership of their digital transformation experience. So when we're talking about the partnership development on our campus, we really want to be that trusted partner in technology so that when we get these tools like Kuali Build and we're able to integrate to, all the platforms that they're already using, they're able to just focus on the business process and making sure that works for them and that works for their students. And then we can come in there and make everything happen auto-magically, which is what we always hope happens. But yeah, it's really, it takes a lot of time, but in the end, it really is worth it because then we get something that is really solid and it works, and we can always come back and say, hey, we know that this isn't working anymore. What can we do now based on the experiences that we've had together?
Thank you so much, Suri. It's so fascinating to me, having worked with a lot of institutions, working with Fresno State, where you stopped to pause for a moment and you went out and did research on the student digital experience. And I loved how you said that you had to relearn student digital behavior so that you were able to improve it. And then being able to translate that into sort of relearning what your departments and your campus needed and being able to partnership with them on that level. Just really impressive. We are almost at time, and we want to make sure that we use everybody's time efficiently. Before I share my final screen, any final words from Fresno State?
So just a couple words. It's like, Kuali Build, right? It's, again, we kind of really appreciate the opportunity working with Kuali Build because especially like you are not just like a technology vendor to us, right? So far we experienced that you are more like an innovation partners with us, right? We are really here every time we're talking about what we want to do, And our conversation is like always like you are asking us like, and we are telling you like, how does this do for our student, right? When we do this, how does it support our student success? And that's where I really appreciate that with solution partners actually has that goal, right? It's like we are not here. I know profit, financial, incentive is like high priority, but I do appreciate that conversation, right? It's like, yes, like you are helping us how to support our students. And I really think that's the ultimate value we are hoping to build that relationship, campus partnership, as well as the continued partnership with you. And that's where I'm gonna stop, because I know the more I say, people I think I work for Kuali Build, but in fact, I'm not. I'm just kind of going to share this experience we have, which is unusual, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Max, and we appreciate all the help and insight. It's so wonderful when we have a customer that starts showing us what they can do with our product, and it's so exciting. And I think what you were really talking about there, Max, is connected to our origin story, right? We came from higher ed, and we only make software for higher ed. So we feel like our mission statement is inextricably tied to that higher ed, their three-prong mission of student success and research, right? Student success and research, and then community engagement. And we feel like we're still part of that community. So thank you so much. I'm going to share just one last screen for those of you who are on the call. If you want to follow up after this webinar, if you have questions, of course, you could visit our website. You can email me. I know there were questions that we didn't get to. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get all the questions, but I'm super happy to answer any of your questions. And then, of course, you've heard it here. Max is happy to talk to any of you too. So that's a resource that you can get back to right there. So thank you all. Thank you to the participants who came and stayed. An amazing amount of you stayed the entire time to hear all of Fresno State's story. So thank you for that. Thank you especially to Max, Surrey, and Philip for putting together these presentations and sharing your experience and your projects with our participants in this webinar. And we have just a little tiny plug here. We have monthly webinars, and so look for those announcements and come back. All right, thanks everyone.